Hello, everyone. It is David Ault, and I want to welcome you to the gathering. It's a beautiful, brisk, spring-ish morning here in Atlanta, Georgia. And I've been talking to friends in India because we're organizing a retreat to happen in that country next January in 2025, or towards the end of that, corresponding other projects. And we were just talking about the beauty of retreat. And there is a resurgence and an energy and focus on retreat because there's something magical, I feel, that happens when you're in that kind of intentional collective. The ability to discuss and to unlayer and dive deep into the things that are at the core of the heart. And sometimes we are able to do that even more advanced in community. In fact, today we have 30 plus people coming to our house for what we've been doing a Ram Dass monthly meetup. We listen to a portion of some Ram Dass teachings and we sing kirtan and we are in fellowship over food and discussion. And these types of things now, thankfully, are coming back for us after our dormancy in our world collective of the pandemic. And so all of those organizational things, in fact, the frame picture that you saw leading into this talk today is another retreat that we are hosting in Scottsdale, Arizona. Smallish, but beautiful and important and valuable. It'll be our second one to do at Franciscan retreat centers, which we have found to be incredibly easy and fun to work with. So I'm hoping that if that appeals to you in the first week of May, and maybe you want to travel to Scottsdale or you live in the Scottsdale area, that you'll come and share in that community, in that intentional heart space as we explore things like quiet on the inside. So, all things retreat, connecting the beautiful opportunities that come with evolution. It reminded me of some of the main things that have been on the forefront of my mind this week. And I want to start with the story, one of my favorite stories and illustrations in The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. Incredible book. He talks about the thorn, and he talks about the thorn as imagery or representation of our wounding, and that many times we can live a life completely out with these thorns and make adaptations for the thorn. In other words, we customize the way in which we live in order to accommodate the wound or the thorn. And those types of illustrations work really well in the mind when you think about a thorn and you say, why not just take it out? And we could say to one another, whether through this medium or in retreat settings, what is the thorns that we are carrying around and what is required in order to extract them from us. But oftentimes, when we don't think about that, when it doesn't cross our consciousness, we continue in this sort of dullness and living out lives where we're protecting our thorns because we don't know any better. Again, the beauty of community, the beauty of diving deep, the beauty of leaning into awareness. What are my thorns? And so Michael Singer keeps illustrating the fact that what would it require of us in order to extract the thorn or extract ourselves from the identification of the wound? Not to erase the wound, but to not let that wound continue to define us. And it sounds very simplistic, but you would be amazed, and I'm sure you can identify with this, how many of us are walking around with adaptations of life centered around the protection of the wound. So imagine a thorn. What if you never took the thorn out? So you would have to create customized clothing to protect the thorn. You would always be walking around telling everybody about the thorn and please don't touch it, those kinds of things. And so it becomes all consuming in order to live a life that is adapting to the thorn. Simplified, what was required to remove the thorn? What is required to remove the identification and the allegiance to the power of the wound or the thorn? And I kept thinking about that this week and in conversations with people because I'm in a very lengthy meditation course, a Buddhist meditation course. And the Lama presented a question to us that really sat with me and lingered in my heart. And it was around devotion. And he, instead of saying, "What are you devoted to?" he changed the last word and he said, "What are you devoted towards?" And I want you to hear that. What are you devoted towards? The moment that he said that, it was like the whole concept of devotion went, it became spacious. It became all consuming with regards to the way in which we intentionally live. To be devoted to, we're devoted to many things. We are devoted to people. We are devoted to religions. We are devoted to culture. We are devoted to thorns and our identification with thorns. And so the devotion to something, the who and the what, can be both conscious and unconscious. But what are you devoted towards seems to elevate that. It seems to breathe something much larger and bigger into play. What are you devoted towards? And as I sat with that, I realized that one of the things that I am devoted towards is my understanding of freedom. And freedom to me is plucking out the thorns, making people responsible or circumstances responsible for my thorns. Yes, they happen. Yes, they have been very influential with the way in which they have shaped my experiences. But if what I'm devoted towards is the realization of those experiences in this human plane, and now what do I do? The being here now. What is the platform or the springboard by which I can take those experiences and be a more compassionate presence in the world? And so, what am I devoted towards? It's freedom. I can't think of anything more. And when I say freedom, I'm talking about the liberation of the mind to the identities, to the wounding, to the thorns, so that in that kind of experience, I am really effective in being in this world, in bringing retreat to people and creating intentional space for people, the people who are coming to our home today, the people who will hopefully join us in these successions of retreats that we want to have. So that in that space, there is an invitation from that devotion for others, for myself included, to continue in the expansion of that freedom. So that's really it. That's what I wanted to share today. I want you to write that down. What are you devoted towards? And to watch the way in which that interplays within your mind. The way in which it elevates the question, the way in which it creates invitation to look at what do you really want? Because it isn't a goal, it isn't a person, it isn't a thing, a specific thing in form, it's an essence. I want my life, I want to be devoted towards a life that is free. What does that mean? That's a big statement. It's a vague statement. And oftentimes that vagueness is the springboard or the catalyst into then creating experiences or showing up for experiences that cannot be anticipated. that can't be calendared in and say, okay, this is going to happen and this is going to happen. It's a way of being. And I so appreciated that question. And I appreciate what it's doing within me. And I appreciate the opportunity of being able to share that question to you. And I hope that you will come and that you will consider being in community or finding communities like that that are retreat oriented to give you that intentional pause from the day to day or to what we keep talking about in this Buddhist meditation course, the dullness that is prevalent from unconsciousness, and how if we don't conscientiously disrupt that dullness, then we continue to live these modified lives where we are protecting our thorns, where we are digging deeper into the identification of concepts. And you see, what we are, the true nature of what we are, is so immeasurably bigger than that. Even to say immeasurably bigger doesn't begin to encapsulate or capture what you are. What you are, what I am in this essence and in this true nature. And if that's what we are, then what we are keeps calling us. It's calling us to retreat. It's calling us to get in touch with somebody. It's calling us to ponder and participate in things that perhaps feel irrational. We want to define it sometimes as synchronicities, but it's even bigger than that. It's the homecoming that we cannot escape, which is beautiful. Who would want to escape that devotional homecoming to come back to our true self, our true essence? So I'm devoted towards coming home. I'm devoted towards inviting as many people as possible to um, keep the faith in that vision of coming home to self and realizing that anything that is labeled as difficult or sacrificial or impossible is nothing but concepts that the human mind has created. So be intentional this week. Ask yourself, what am I devoted towards? Journal around that. Be in the stillness of that question. Watch what comes up and see if you are willing to obey or say yes to the things that come up. Perhaps you'll want to come on a retreat. I will post all of the information in the comments section, whether it be here on Facebook or whether it be on the YouTube channel. And I hope to see you there. And until next time, I'm going to go get ready for all of these people coming to the house. And we're going to explore how to extract our thorns and be in the now. Much love.